Hello and welcome to Retrotainment. I'm back here again with my co-host, capital C, capital O, Greg. How are you doing, buddy?
What's happening, homie?
Not too bad, not too bad. Picked one of your favorites here for
This
the
is
horror.
my favorite.
This is your favorite, yeah.
This is my favorite horror movie. Mightn't be my favorite franchise, but it's my favorite horror.
As a franchise, yeah, it's not particularly strong, but
well, two was desperate. Three, I quite enjoyed 3 and 4.
Yeah, but then
5 was meh. I do really enjoy Wes Craven's A New Nightmare.
yeah, there's too much meh for me to call it a good franchise, really.
Yeah, he's the character that changed the slasher genre.
Oh,
the movies didn't hold up.
As a character, he's amazing, but I think this first one is really, really good.
Yeah.
The rest of them are hit and miss.
Yeah, you can see where Wes Craven dipped in and out of them, where Wes Craven dipped in and out of them. He was involved, obviously heavily involved in this one.
Yeah.
I don't think he done much for the second one, and he came back then the third, and then he fell out with New Line halfway through the fourth one, and then didn't touch 5, and then came back for the New Nightmare.
And so 6, 7, and then there's obviously the Nightmare on Elm Street. I haven't seen that one.
The cast for that should have been so much better. Like the remake was so good up until halfway through. Like it started going on its own way and made itself a thing, and then kind of like the director just kind of went, "Oh, this isn't what we're supposed to be doing," and went and just muddled everything in together, and then it's just okay.
Yeah, see, I haven't seen the new one, and that's why, because people had said it's
the
not that good.
The best meme I seen was the picture there behind you.
Yeah.
And the Jackie Earle Haley one is like, this is what you get when you order Freddy Krueger off Wish.
Yeah, and that's what I heard, that it was quite,
like Rooney Mara is in it, and she's a phenomenal actress.
Well,
like girl from the Dragon Tattoo and all. Yeah.
In this now, there's some very questionable acting in this original. Now, to be fair,
there's a broad definition of acting,
which is probably what knocks it down. Obviously, this released on the 1st of November, 1985.
85 was it? I thought it was 84.
85. See, it might have been 84 in the States somewhere.
No, because it didn't get released over here for a year.
Yeah, well, we seem to have got screwed back then. That used to always be the way. It'd be nearly a year.
God bless the Catholic Church.
Yeah. Rotten Tomatoes for 54 critics, it's 94%. So very highly rated. Yeah, and then audience is 84.
Yeah. This is probably the best ratings we've done, is it?
It's up there, definitely.
It's definitely the best critic rating.
I think it's definitely the best critic. I don't think it's the best audience. I think we've had a few other audience ones that have been 88 and stuff, but yeah, it's pretty high. Most of the bad stuff seems to be people just saying that the acting is poor in certain situations, and then they said it didn't age well. Like graphically, it doesn't age well. I'm like, yeah, well, it's not going to age well graphically from the 80s to now, but whatever. Box office wise, one of the lower box offices we've seen, 57 million.
Yeah, well, that's without inflation.
Yeah, again, it's without inflation, and it was released in quite a stagger as well. So I don't know, does that affect how they judge the box office as well?
I was looking at it. I was looking up a few bits for it, and the series itself overall, up until the 2010 one, had made 370 million. As a box office, then with inflation, they reckon it works out at about 720 million, placing it. I think it's the third highest franchise.
Yeah, so I
don't know how Saw hasn't overtaken that, because there's about 5,000 of them. But
yeah, I suppose it's just the way they do inflation is what means it doesn't. But I don't know. The starting scene to this is very good, where we start in a dream and we see Freddy making the glove.
It's not even, that's not a dream. Technically it is a dream, but it's not anyone's in particular.
Yeah, it's just
it's like an open dream scene.
Yeah, it's an open scene dream, but it turns out to be Tina's dream.
Yeah,
when she wakes up, because she's the one that gets attacked, and we see the slashes across her nightgown, which just as she gets slashed, she wakes up.
There's probably a knockdown here for, you know, when you see her starting to run,
Yeah.
you can see it in front of a white screen where they obviously hadn't flicked the
green
camera work to come on. Yeah.
One of the things here is that I really liked is how quick it starts into the horror. Like, and I know we say sometimes that we like the suspense to be built up.
Yeah.
But this gets straight into it. Like, you know what's going. Like, you know what the antagonist is. Like, you know who he is. You know what he's capable of.
You don't really at this minute in time. All you've seen is him make.
The clawed hand and stuff like that. But it's very, you know, it's very quick into it.
Yeah, well, like this here, like instantly you see his weapon of choice.
Yeah, and then you get to see how it's done. It's in, you know, it's in people's dreams or nightmares, whatever you want to call them.
And it makes it very quick into it that you see her wake up and the dress is slashed.
Yeah, what I like is that she then goes into school and she's talking to Nancy and Glenn.
Yeah,
and she's like, "Oh, I had this dream." And
well, it's not even in school; it's on the way.
It's on the way, yeah.
Outside school, yeah.
Yeah, and Nancy is like, "Oh, I had the same kind of dream, like the same guy, like, you know, green and red jumper and a hat,
red and green and dirty brown hat."
Yeah,
and he had knives for fingers.
But it shows that he's not just focused on one person; that he can get to multiple people at multiple times.
And then you meet Rod.
Rod, who
ex-boyfriend.
He's a very strange character. Now,
Rod.
Yeah. At first, like the first time you see him, you don't really get that he is her boyfriend. He seems just like, you know, the typical creepy guy, and that they all kind of like it.
He looks like a rock star.
Yeah, but they're like, this guy's a bit weird. Get him away from us, and then he leaves. And we hear the kids singing basically the theme song. 1, 2, Freddy's coming for you.
Yeah, like when I was getting the Freddy face that I have tattooed on my arm, I wanted to get that underneath it, but it would have come down too far. Like,
yeah, I think that's a great little theme. It's very simple, very, you know.
They reference this a couple of times in the movie. The jump rope song.
Yeah, the jump rope song. Yeah, but it's very, you know, it's a very simple song as well. You know, it's not.
Yeah.
Like, it's simple, but I imagine whoever came up with it wasn't that simple to come up with. You know, you have to think about what you're going to say for each bit.
Yeah. Now, obviously, when you've seen them here, you've seen. So the way this starts out, you see Tina in her dream, tells you that she's the main character.
Yeah, you're very convinced that, like, Tina is the main character, but she's.
You meet Nancy then, and then
you meet Nancy, Glenn, and then
and
Rod. Now they go back to Nancy's house, and her mum has gone away.
No, Tina's house.
Or sorry, to Tina's house, and her mum has gone away. And we can see that Tina lives in kind of like a rundown sort of house, like she's put the poor one in the kind of group sort of thing.
Yeah. Well, Rod technically is, but yeah.
Her and Rod are both kind of like
slums.
Poor. Well, like they're
slums. They're in LA, but
yeah, well, like they're not in the big fancy houses like Nancy and Glenn are.
Still a nice house though.
It's a fine house, but in comparison, it's not. You know.
Yeah.
And this is kind of something that they kind of show here in that you know, she has the two of them stay over, and they have to convince Glenn's mum to let him stay, and he has the tape with the airplanes.
Rod made me a tape because his cousin lives at the airport.
Yeah, and it's an airport, then it's a car drive, then it's a motorbike going by,
and it's a crash, and he's like, "Oh, there's been an accident, I gotta go."
And there's gunshots and everything. Yeah. It's just like, oh god.
Yeah.
But it seems to work.
This is where I think if you've never seen this and watched it for the first time, it's when you see his face when he's doing this scene where he's talking to his ma, you realize that Glenn is Johnny Depp.
Yeah.
It's his very first acting role.
A very young Johnny Depp.
But Johnny Depp was originally not cast in this.
Oh, who was meant to?
Charlie Sheen got cast as Glenn. And after he got cast, he tried to up his wage demands and they told him to fuck off.
I think Charlie Sheen probably would have been a better choice, to be honest.
Yeah, the very little that he does in this movie, it didn't have to be anybody really.
I think it's more that, you know, later on he gets referred to as "you're the jock."
Yeah,
and he just doesn't have that jock body type where.
But I wouldn't have said Charlie Sheen does at that stage either.
No, but
Charlie Sheen never really did.
No, but he's that little bit bigger that you could at least, you know, make out that he was like, even if you don't show his actual body, like you can just have him in, you know, clothes that make him look a bit bigger.
like theoretically, when you say that, you think Rod would have been.
Yeah, Rod is probably the one that they should have put in that position, but he's needed for the position he's in. Yeah. So they stay. We established they're going to stay in Tina's house, and then they hear something out in the back.
This is it. This is brilliant. Where he's like, "Yeah, you go out."
Yeah, he gets sent out. Yeah. So they go out, and it's Rod.
He tackles him.
Yeah. The one thing that it's a bit weird here, like this is where you really see how kind of weird Rod is. He pulls out a knife, and you're like, "Whoa, man!" You're like, "These are meant to be your friends." It's a bit weird that you're pulling a switchblade on your friend, man. Like,
yeah, you can tell he's a bit loopy, all right.
Yeah, and then we learn that he's Tina's boyfriend, and you're like, "That's a bit weird. Why is she got out with this like psychopath?"
Yeah, he's not like you can tell he's a dickhead. He's the dickhead character in this.
He is, but it's a very important scene that they show him with the blade because obviously later, that's used as evidence against
references him. It,
yeah. Now this is the bit that like it's a real 80s sort of thing. As I said, that Rod and Tina are kind of the poorer of the two couples.
Yeah,
and this is where they kind of go with that, poor equals like sexually deviant, and then the richer are kind of are like pure and not into that.
Because when them two go into the bedroom, they're like, "Oh, we'll take your ma's room, you take that room," and thing, and then Glenn makes reference to something when she's like, "Yeah, not gonna happen."
Yeah, he says something about it makes reference to the fact that she is not.
I don't know whether that the way I took that was they either have done and they're just not doing it now.
No, I took it more as that she was very like Catholic, and
well, so was Tina, because you see her after she wakes up.
I know, yeah, but she's Catholic, but like has deviated from that. Whereas I think they kind of made the point that Nancy isn't. That Nancy's the good girl,
This is when you first realize that Tina's not the main character here.
Yeah, well, she's right dafty because she falls asleep.
Well,
and then
the funny thing there is like you see them on the job, and then he's trying to talk. He just rolls over. He's like, "Nah, I'm gone."
Yeah, but like someone starts throwing stones at the window,
and it cracks the window.
It cracks the window. Now she's still asleep, but we don't know that at the time.
Yeah, because you see her. Like I think the way this is done for the dreams for her anyway is really well set up because she pops up.
Yeah, and it looks like she's woken up. Yeah.
Yeah. Now I thought that was very well done. Like it just flicks up and.
Yeah, but she wanders outside for some reason here, and while she's outside, we see Nancy in her bed, but with the crucifix in her hand.
Yeah.
And the wall, like Freddy trying to come through the wall.
This 2 or 3 minute stretch is my favorite in this whole movie. So obviously this is the infamous scene where he comes out of the wall
because she's tries to come out. Yeah, tries to come out.
It's not that he's looking to see.
Yeah, see, I first took it like the first time I watched this, I was like, "Oh, she's got the crucifix because this,
she's safe." But
safe, but that's not real,
He's so. I know we don't know it now, but he's later trying to realize that he has to work her.
Yeah.
Fear to get stronger.
Yeah.
So he's already got Tina.
He's got Tina, so he goes out and why she went outside and started looking for whatever was why are you going looking for whoever's throwing stones at your window if you're terrified?
What doesn't get me here is when she's in the garden near the gate, you can hear someone calling her.
Yeah.
And it's thing, and then she walks out into the laneway. Now this was the very first horror movie I ever seen. Like I snuck downstairs in my ma's house when I lived there. Obviously, I lived there as a child, and it was on TG4. And the very first scene that I remember was this scene in the alleyway, because you see her walk out, and then the cat knocks over the bin,
and then the dustbin lid rolls behind her.
Yeah, and then she turns around, and he's there. And
this is one scene I don't like, is when he has the insanely long arms.
This is one of my favorite scenes, like where he just opens. It's the one scene I remember, and you just see his arms. Now you can see they're on the mechanics.
Yeah,
the way they're bending, but like I thought it was brilliant, and it was all to do that he could scrape the.
Yeah, see, I felt they could have just gone the other way and had the alleyway be narrower, so that he could do it. Why did he need really long arms?
I think it's to show that he can do what he wants. Now, again, they do that again in a couple of minutes
when he transports in front. Well, when he transports in front of her, see, I think they get away with that there. Like they could just go, you know, you can just teleport from one end of the alley to the other. The long arms to me was just a little bit like,
Oh, I loved it. Now, I don't think it'll work in today's kind of films, but I'd say in the 80s, this was fucking terrifying.
I'd say when it first came out, it was quite terrifying. But just to me, I was like, it just doesn't make sense that he has really long arms, because if he has arms that can go that long,
why not just reach and grab her?
Why not just reach out and grab her? Yeah.
But that's the horror trope about it. Like, she has to run.
Yeah, and she runs back, and then he calls her from the tree, and we see him, you know, cut off his two fingers.
He's like, watch this.
What I like is he has like green blood spurting out, so it's not even, you know, it's not blood.
So now you know he's not even human. Yeah. Obviously, he's killing people in a dream, but
but they get into like a fight on the ground, and she peels his face off, which I think that's great. Like, that looks brilliant.
I as many times as I've seen this, I always forget that happens so quickly in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like there's great work in it. Like Robert Englund is phenomenal.
Yeah, but she peels off his face, and then we transport back to the bedroom basically.
And she's bouncing around. Rod
wakes up and she's like bouncing around, and then he pulls the covers off her, and there is nothing there.
Yeah, it looks like she's having a nightmare.
But then you see the slashes across her chest appear.
But it's not even the slashes across her chest. So like her nightdress rips open first, and then you see it.
Yeah,
and then she lifts up and splits him a headbutt because he's getting spun around.
Yeah, and then she's like going everywhere, up the top of the ceiling, dragged around.
Like you'll see in one of the earlier episodes when we done the House on Haunted Hill, this is where I says House on Haunted Hill paid homage to this, especially because the Freddy glove was in it.
Yeah.
But she's up on the ceiling, she's calling for help. Now, the one thing that I don't get with this, now you can tell the way they've done it is that she's actually on the floor. Yes. Because like her stomach is ripped open, but there's no blood dropping down.
Yeah.
So like you can tell the camera's literally just flipped upside down.
Yeah.
Because obviously it was an old camera and special effects wouldn't do that. But like I thought this was brilliant.
Yeah, it looks great. And what I love is that when it finally ends, she drops, but she's like covered in blood. Like her whole body is just destroyed, and then Rod is covered in it as well.
Yeah, because when she flicks up and she hits the deck and it just kind of splatters on him.
Yeah, and then we see Glenn and Nancy break in through the door. Yeah, but Rod is gone.
What I like here is when they're trying to get in the door, he's like, "I'll fucking kill you!" To thing, so you can tell he's talking to somebody.
Yeah, what I like is that he does jump out the window because he's panicking. He doesn't know panicking because he's like, "Oh, I did something wrong," but he's just like.
But see, it doesn't help that you find out when they were having a conversation that they had a fight previous.
They've had multiple fights previous, which when you've seen Rod, you're kind of like, I can probably guess what those fights are about. It's like this guy pulling knives on people all the time, but
pulling knives on his mates.
Yeah, but they obviously, the police come there, and Nancy goes to the police station and explains, what happens, and we find out that the chief of police or whatever is her dad.
What an actor they got to do it as well, John Saxon.
Yeah, very good. He's probably the biggest name in this, bar Freddy himself.
No, he would be. John Saxon would have been
at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even now, I'd say John Saxon's probably a bigger name. Robert Englund is a throwback here for horror, and that's it.
Yeah, but I mean, like Freddy was, like the character of Freddy is now just so big that.
Yeah, like as I said, it's my favorite character. I was in Stansted Airport when I was 15, coming home from England, where I was overseeing my nanny, and he was on a flight going the other way. He walked by me, and I absolutely stopped dead. I was like,
I know you.
I couldn't even go up and ask him for an autograph. I was just like,
you're 15, man. You hit starstruck.
Stone dead. Stopped stone dead. I was, when he just walked by, I was like, turns out he was in London for ScreamCon or.
Oh, very good.
One of those.
Yeah, we'll have to get to one of them eventually now. Something similar once they're back going. But we see Nancy is now terrified of. She stayed up all night. She hasn't gone to sleep, which makes sense.
One of your mates just got killed.
Yeah, and not just that, you've walked into the room and it's covered in blood, like, yeah. So she hasn't got to sleep, and she's going into school the next day just because she needs to do something, she says.
Something to do.
And on her way there, Rod kidnaps her.
This is brilliant because you see her look back and she sees the agent.
Yeah.
Well, it's made out to be an agent anyway.
Yeah, and then we see Rod kind of like pull her into like these bushes.
Yeah.
The only thing here is if they had managed to not show Tina getting killed, where like it was still in the audience's head that maybe Rob did it, that would have been cool. But then you don't get the scene of her getting dragged up onto the roof and all that stuff either. So.
But like, to me, what Wes Craven did there when he killed her was he'd made her out that she's the main character. She's the first female you see.
Yeah.
But horror analytics rule 101 tells you that if you have sex, you're gonna die.
Yeah, it's just one of those things that if they'd left that little bit of mystery, like, is Rod the bad guy, is he not, to the audience, I think could have made a little bit of an improvement.
I don't know, because I think what they had to do was showcase how strong Freddy is. Now they show you what he looks like and everything straight away, so the gig is up. It's now coming into a straight slasher.
For me, I suppose they could have had the bit where Rod, like, you know, Rod jumps out the window, but we haven't seen what happens to Tina. Yeah. And then when he pulls Nancy into the bush and he explains it, you could show the scene then as like a flashback memory. That's the only thing I would probably change about that. Because it would leave you in that suspension of disbelief until that point of did he do it or did he not?
Yeah, you probably could. Like, there's always changes you can make now.
Yeah, well, that's it's a minor thing, you know. It's just something I think would have looked cool if they had put that in. But he explains that, you know, somebody was there, but he couldn't see them.
How was there someone there if you couldn't see them? I don't know. You think I'm crazy? You think I did it? No.
But then her dad shows up and he's like, "Hey, listen, you're coming with me," which, you know, fair enough. Like, you know, you're going to suspect that it was him. You know, the knife, cuts all over her.
She's had fights with him.
Yeah, she's had fights with him. You know, you're not going to naturally go to, oh yeah, a ghost. Yeah, well, I suppose he's not a ghost, but yeah, you know what I mean. Like, you're not going to go to something supernatural first off. Like,
well, you never think. Like, you can only charge what you can see. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but she gets into school, and
I love how she gives out to him. You used me.
Gives out to her dad. Yeah, you used me as bait. What are you even going to school for? But she goes in and she falls asleep in the English class.
Here's one for you, right? So there's a theory going around now of them hopefully. Well, I'm not saying hopefully, but they want to try and include Freddy in the Conjuring universe.
Oh, okay.
Is it Conjuring? Oh no, the Insidious universe.
Okay, I could be interested in seeing him be brought into something.
You know the teacher.
Yeah.
Is Lynn Shay? You know the lady that does the gas mask in.
Yes.
In Insidious, that's her.
Okay, that could be interesting.
Now, I personally don't want to see it. I'd like to see the franchise rebooted completely.
Yeah, I don't know if it'd be good. It'd be interesting, and if they did it well, it'd be like, it could be deadly. But
yeah, well, it means then you have to get Wes Craven involved into
Insidious.
Yeah, and I don't know if James Wan would want anyone.
Yeah, it's I suppose it's a wait and see sort of thing.
It's just someone has copped on to who she is and the way they're doing it.
It's probably not a thing. It's probably just, you know.
It is only a fan theory.
Yeah.
But I liked it. Now, I'd watched it a few times and I never copped on who she was until I watched into this, and I was like, no.
Well, it was, like, as you say, Johnny Depp in this. Like, I genuinely didn't know Johnny Depp until recently. Like, it just doesn't strike me as him.
Well, if you think about it, he done From Hell, Sleepy Hollow, The Ninth Gate, so he did.
Oh no, but I mean, like, when I looked at him, the first, like, I didn't realize that was him. Just visually, I didn't realize that was him for a long time. You
just look at him and you're like, you're not Johnny Depp.
Yeah, it just doesn't look like him, but, you know, obviously it is him.
Obviously, the first credits are he's the last name on it, and introducing Johnny Depp.
Yeah, but we see her go into school and she falls asleep in the English class. What I love here is the scene of Tina in, like, the body bag, being dragged around. That's great.
Well, the first part you see her, she's standing up.
Yeah, and then she starts getting dragged around.
Yeah.
Now this always reminds me, obviously, of the first introduction I had to Nightmare on Elm Street, which is The Simpsons, Treehouse of Horror, where Ralph falls asleep, or not Ralph, Martin Prince falls asleep in class, and groundskeeper Willie is the is Freddy, and the classic joke from that is that they have, you know, they've created an extra month on the calendar, so there's now Smarch, and Homer goes to turn up the heating, but the sign over says "Do not touch Willie," but it's meant to read "Do not touch," and then Willie is the person who told them not to do it, and Homer goes, "Oh, good advice," and just turns it up, and it burns Willie, and he runs up to, there's a parent teacher meeting on him, and Willie runs up, he's on fire and stuff, and all the parents are there, and Milhouse's dad, Kirk Van Houten, is complaining about the school lunches, and he's like, I just don't like the idea of Milhouse having 2 meatball meals a day. Like, you need to tell us what you're making so I can adjust what I'm making. And Willie runs in on fire, and they're like, Willie, please sit down. Mr. Van Houten has the floor. So Willie sits there like on fire for ages.
Yeah. I vaguely remember that. I'd actually have to go. I might go back and watch that tonight.
Yeah.
Now.
It's only about, because Treehouse of Horrors are split into 3 little things. It's probably about 10 to 12 minutes. But that's the introduction I had to Nightmare on Elm Street, because The Simpsons did a ripoff. That was in 95 or 96. So I didn't know it was Nightmare on Elm Street at the time.
Yeah,
but I remember The Simpsons bit, and then watching Nightmare on Elm Street and being like, oh, it's The Simpsons.
Well, like this scene where she runs out and she runs into the hall
boiler room. Oh, no, the hall monitor wearing the gear.
Now, this is done very well. So she runs into her, bursts her nose open.
Yeah.
Right? Which is fine. It could happen. Right?
Yeah, I mean, head smashes into somebody else's head, yeah.
She turns around then and she goes to walk, and she's like, screw your hall pass, goes to walk off, and then she turns around and she has the glove.
Yeah.
But in Scream 1, when the principal is talking, he turns to Fred, the janitor, and it's Wes Craven himself, but he has the green and red jumper on, and it always reminds me, it's an eerily similar scene to an extent where they're using it as somebody else.
Yeah, and I love the fact that they do this a couple of times where they have the jumper on different things.
Yeah.
I think that's just really, really well done in this.
It's very clever from Wes Craven.
Yeah.
He does it in a few of his films. He puts other things into it, and you're like, you sneaky bastard.
Yeah. What's very good about this scene is that obviously Nancy now gets trapped and she's about to be killed.
So if you notice, though, she's trapped in the exact same place Tina was trapped before she woke up, right in front of the fire.
Yeah, but what I like is that she then
burns herself,
which wakes her up, because it now gives you the idea of how you get out of this. You know, if you're woken up,
yeah, well,
that's
yourself,
the end of it.
The alleged thing, if you're having a nightmare and you hurt yourself, you wake up, or if you're having a dream, you wake up.
And then what I liked is that they again referenced, like she has the burn on her arm. She notices that when she gets outside.
I love how the freak out scene here from Heather Langenkamp is brilliant.
Probably her best bit of acting.
She generally looks terrified.
Yeah, this is probably the best bit of acting she does, because the bit when she's in the police station talking about how she's sorry that her friend is dead and stuff is god awful.
Yeah, she didn't even getting into the later movies, everyone in the horror community, she's well liked for the movies.
She improves. To be fair,
don't think she's a great actress.
No, she's not.
But then again, this movie is the show is stolen by Robert Englund, and to go on into a franchise and make all of them up until 2010, all voiceover appearances, all TV show that they made of it, he done it all.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're doing something right. He done the cartoons that he was in, he done the video games.
Yeah.
Freddy exploded.
Oh yeah.
To an extent.
Probably too much, because he's now too he's popular. People like Freddy. You shouldn't like Freddy,
This is what I was saying about the remake. The remake started in a way that made you hate him again, because they intently they never reference it too much in this that he was a pedophile. They say he's a child killer. But in the new one, they tell you he's a pedophile. So instantly, once you put that name to something,
you're gonna hate them. But like, I think that is that's probably the problem with a franchise like this, is that as you build a franchise, the main character, which is Freddy, becomes more and more popular.
Yeah, 100%. Like, he became a pop icon. Like, he was in music videos and everything.
Yeah, and he shouldn't be. Like, he's a bad guy, you know.
Yeah, but like, it's the same with Jason.
Yeah, it's the same with a lot of them. You know, like even Jigsaw's quite, you know.
Yeah, all like what I was saying earlier, when they made the glove and they show you the weapon, that's what I liked about a lot of the original franchises. Like Friday the 13th. I know Friday the 13th 1, people were like, "Oh, it's Jason." It's not. It's his ma. But when Friday the 13th 2 comes around, he has the machete.
Yeah.
In Halloween, he has the butcher knife. In this, he has the glove.
Yeah, they have their set weapon.
The chainsaw, obviously, the chainsaw.
Texas chainsaw, yeah.
But like, they have it, and they reference it quite early and quite often.
Yeah, but she goes home and she's learned that she can't go to sleep because she gets into the bathtub, and her mum's like, "Hey, don't fall asleep in there. You could drown."
People die in there all the time.
Which is true.
I'd say it is. Now, they obviously, this is the most famous scene.
It's a great scene where the shot is like of her in the bathtub, like from feet end to looking at her, and you see his hand, or the clawed hand, come up through the through the bubbles, I suppose, and then she wakes up.
Like, the ma wakes her up.
Yeah, and then he goes back down.
Yeah, and it just looks so innocent. You're like, "Oh, that's it now."
Yeah, but it doesn't reference that she's gone to sleep at this point.
It double jumps it. Now, I don't know whether she actually wakes up or they've done that for cinematography, because I know she talks to the ma, but you never find out.
I think I don't think they really were sure. I think they had this idea for what would look really good and went with it, and then we're like, don't worry about whether she actually woke up or not, sort of thing. You know, it was just like, and then we see that she gets dragged under. So it's not just the claws that he can kill people with. You know, he can.
Oh, he manipulates the
world around him. So she's drowning in the bathtub, but it's not in the bathtub. It's in like an ocean.
Yeah. So when they filmed this, they done it in an Olympic swimming pool, apparently.
Yeah, but like, you can see that, it's not the bathtub, like, because you can see she's
you can see the tiny little hole. So it looks like she's been sucked down the plug hole.
Yeah.
It's the way I always looked at that.
Yeah, very, very good. I think it's a great scene. Like,
what I like there is when she's pulled under, so you can kind of see it's all clear when she first goes under, and then it gets really dark.
Yeah, because she's gotten further down and down and down. Yeah, I think it's one of the best scenes in this as well.
Obviously, I think it is the most famous scene. Like, if you Google Nightmare on Elm Street, it's the claw coming up.
Yeah, but then her mom hears her screaming, and it wakes her up. She gets out of the tub.
She's just as casual as anything then.
Yeah. What I like here is that she's determined now. She's like, all right, no sleeping, because the second I go to sleep, that's when this starts happening.
He gonna get me.
Yeah, so she's in her room, and she's determined not to go to sleep. She's taking like pep pills and drinking
coffee
and stuff like that. And then then Glenn is like sneaks in the window.
I love the little reference he has here when he gets in the window and she's talking to him at the window. She's like, "Can you let me in? You ever stood on a rose trellis with bare feet?"
Yeah.
I'd rather not. No, thanks, Glenn.
No, I don't think I would. But he comes in and, she makes this plan. She's like, "I'm going to see what the story with this is. You just stay awake."
Well, she never actually tells him to stay awake.
Well, we never see him tell her telling him that.
Yeah, she says she
has a plan. Well, she says she has a plan. She's like, "I have a plan. Turn the light off.
I'm just going to get you to stand. I'm just going to get you to stand guard."
Yeah, but we don't hear what the plan is. So she falls asleep.
Yeah. Now, I love this. This is brilliant.
What I like is that she goes walking out.
Yeah.
And then she's like calling him, and he sticks his head out. Yeah.
And you're like, "Oh, you're fucked."
Yeah. From there, I was like, "Wait, he shouldn't be in the dream. Like, he's meant to be back up there.
You're in trouble."
But she goes wandering around.
Now, you think she'd know her estate, so this shows you that she's in a fantasy world now.
Yeah.
Because she's walking beside her house, and then she walks down an alleyway, and she's at the police station.
Yeah, and then she looks down and she sees Freddy about to walk through at Rod, and she's like screaming at him to wake him up.
No, I thought this was brilliant. Where like it's good cinematography that he just walks through the bars. There's no
just
glitch.
melds
There's
through them. Yeah, it's brilliant. Yeah, just melds straight through
for the
them.
80s as well. I'd say like the only thing I could think of was it was like paper or something that he walked through.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's very, very good. But she screams. He looks up at her
and laughs.
Yeah, and then she looks back down because she starts shouting for Glenn, who's just
he's God knows where.
She doesn't hear him. He's not responding. So she looks back down and he's gone. Rod's there, fine. No bothers on Rod.
Yeah,
sleep it away. So she decides she better get going.
Yeah,
and she hears the noises behind her. Hears her voice or her name being called, and it's Tina.
Yeah,
Again in the body bag, but this time like the like slug coming out of her, or like centipedes coming out of her mouth.
Centipedes are creepy as fuck.
Yeah, centipede coming out of her mouth, and then you can see that like the world around her is getting darker. And
well, like what I like here is when it goes down to the bottom, it's as if the bugs are starting to get to her, because like where her feet should be, they're all like weird. I don't know, some kind of insects.
So she starts kind of like making her way home, and Freddy's chasing her. Yeah. Why wouldn't he?
It's a strange one. Like she runs through the alley and she throws the bin down,
and he moves it.
What I like here, he picks it up and just moves it.
Yeah, just walk past it, man.
Yeah.
But she gets back to her house still screaming at Glenn. And this is a great scene where she's running up the stairs, and it's like the first two steps fine, and then it's like they turn into like not glue, but like quicksand or something, like quicksand sort of thing. Like her foot gets sucked down into it.
What I like here is though, when you see her put her feet on the second step, you can see the holes in the step ready where she's supposed to stand.
But it looks very good, to be fair.
Yeah, like to me, like it's perfect, because like you see her running, you see the holes ready, so Freddy knows where she's going. Is what I got from that.
Yeah, but I like that it's like her foot is like stuck, and when she's pulling it back up out, you can see it's like glue like dripping off her, and then she eventually gets back up the stairs anyway, and Glenn's fast asleep.
Oh, he's out for the count.
And then Freddy gets into the room and he starts battering her around. And then this is the one bit that kind of also gets me. The alarm clock goes off.
Where they fall off the bed. No, they fall off the bed and the alarm clock starts ringing.
Yeah. Why was the alarm clock ringing?
Because it fell. Do you ever have an old alarm clock? If you drop it or it'll malfunction to ring.
Yeah, but it drops, and it's there's still another couple of seconds, and then it goes off. I was like, that's a bit.
Yeah, unless she's setting an alarm and you don't see it, because I know she does it later on.
She does it later, but it's not referenced here. But then she wakes up and she's like, "Glenn, you asshole!"
She calls him a bastard.
Yeah, well, he is. He was asked to. Like, he obviously just doesn't believe this whole thing. He's just like,
I still feel he's harsh done by here. I don't think he done anything wrong. She never told him what to do. She told him stand guard.
Well, we don't know. We don't know what he was told to do, because she says, "I told you to stay awake and wake me."
Well, I can only go by what I've seen. And she didn't tell him.
Well, she says that she told him, but he fell asleep, and you kind of get it from here and later on. Like, he just doesn't believe this whole thing at all. Like, but they go down to visit Rod in the in the police cell, and
she's giving that poor old policeman abuse.
Yeah, he's like, I need to see him, and her dad's like, listen, just go home, go to bed. And he's like, no, I need to see him now. And they go in.
I like that though. She was like, what are you doing here at this hour night? He's like, why are you here? He's like, there's a killer on the loose.
Yeah, and I don't rest.
But see, to me, if there's a killer on the loose, right, and he has Rod in jail,
then there's
what killer's on the loose?
Yeah, he thinks it's Rod, so
he knows what's up.
Yeah, I think he does, but he doesn't admit that he knows what's up.
You see it there. There's a look that he has later on in the movie.
Yeah.
When he's talking to the ma.
Yeah. What I like is that they go. They then it cuts to Rod in the cell, and we see this
is done very well.
Snaking around his neck slowly. Yeah. It's done very, very well.
And like it ties quite nicely, and then obviously it ramps up.
Yeah, well, they eventually convince her dad to to go in and check on Rod, and we see him hanging from the.
You don't even. You see him starting to go up, because you see him open the door and trying to get in.
Yeah, and you see it's clearly not him, because he's been dragged up.
Yeah, but
now
it breaks his neck.
We see it doesn't.
It does. You see him going like this, and then you hear a crack, and he just dies.
Yeah, I suppose, but like that's not how that would happen. What would
No,
happen with
his
that
head
is
would be up at the bars.
Yeah, but obviously, they check on him and he's dead.
But there again, so the look that he had when he says to her, "There's a killer on the loose," he gives that look to the cop as well.
Yeah, he knows something's up now.
Yeah, hold on now. There's something going on here.
But after this happens, they decide. Nancy's mum decides, right.
Well, it goes to the funeral.
It goes to the funeral.
This is a guy who's allegedly killed his girlfriend in a horrible way, but there's still a tornado.
Yeah, I suppose it's his family.
And like, although the priest makes reference to it.
Yeah, live by the sword, die by the sword.
Yeah, like whatever has happened.
Yeah.
But I don't know, like, would that many people show up if he's apparently killed his girlfriend the day beforehand?
Well, I suppose if it gets out that there was questionable circumstances about how he died.
Yeah, I don't think that was getting out though.
No, possibly not, but
yeah, this is a thing. So what we forgot there was when she's getting attacked at the school, she gets the name from him.
Yeah.
So she finds out the name Freddy.
Yeah. Well, she hears it being said, yeah.
Yeah. And then like after the funeral, the man there talking, she's like, "I'm gonna go get her help." Oh no, she's talking to the master. She's talking to the man at the car. She's like, "I know who did it," and she's like, "His name is Freddy Krueger."
No, that's after they go to they bring her to the dream doctor.
No, that's just before. It's when they're standing at the car because the dad comes over and he looks at the ma and she's like, "I'm going to get her help."
Oh, sorry, the mum knows who did it. Sorry, yeah. Sorry, I get you, yeah. And they say we'll go to the dream doctor, which is what they do, and everything seems relatively normal.
Do you know,
like you're gonna go
do you know who that dream doctor is?
No.
Do you know by the voice? No. He's the guy who done the voice for Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Jeez, I haven't seen that in so long. That's why I wouldn't know. I haven't seen that in forever.
That's coming up whenever we get to.
Yeah, but we see her in the dream doctor, and then the doctor's like, "Yeah, everything's normal, everything's fine." Says, "No, it'll probably spike to 5 or 6 here or whatever," and ends up at 30, and he's like, "Ooh, I've never seen it up there."
It's like she's having a convulsion then.
And they see her like spasming out, and they rush in, and they wake her up. And then they see the cut on her arm.
She wakes up quite well, actually, to be fair to her.
Well, they start shaking her, and we see the cut on her arm. And they're like, "Oh, we need to look at that." And then she takes out the hat.
Yeah, and then the look of pure fear.
On the mother's face, yeah. And then they bring her home, and she, again, she is refusing to sleep at home. Yeah, which and then makes sense.
She comes down the stairs to go to school.
And she's drinking coffee and stuff, and she hears the mum on the phone, presumably to
it is to the dad.
Yeah, and she's like, "I don't know." She found this hat, and then she says, "Oh, I got rid of that hat. I threw that old crusty hat away."
She's so sketchy about it. They're standing in front of the drawer, being like, "Nah."
Yeah, well, that's also the bottle of vodka that she's put behind her in the drawer.
Yeah, but no, she knows the hat's there. She takes the hat, and she's like, "His name is inside the hat."
Freddy Krueger, that's his name. Yeah. And the mum is like, "You don't need to worry about him."
Yeah.
You don't need to. I know you don't need to.
This is when you get first reference that she knows.
The mum knows, and you've learned that the mum is an alcoholic as well. Yeah, well, you've learned that the mum knows and that the mum is an alcoholic.
Yeah, and that's all.
That's all you know about the mum at this point. And she goes into school, or well, presumably.
Yeah, it just kind of fades away.
Kind of fades away, and then she comes home, and there's bars on the windows.
She done well to get them up in a day, didn't she?
And the whole house done up.
Yeah.
But she goes in, and the mum is like, "Follow me down here to the basement, and I'll explain why you don't need to be worried about Fred Krueger."
I think this would have worked better if the dad had been there as well.
I think so as well. But they bring her down, and in the furnace, she reaches up and takes something out, and she's like, "Listen, when we were younger, there was loads of children being murdered, 20 children murdered, and we were all terrified when we didn't know who it was, and then it got worse when we found out who it was,
Yeah.
Because all the lawyers and the judges got fat, and then the search warrant was signed incorrectly, and he had to be let go. And
typical fucking maniac kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, and she was just like, and I knew that we couldn't let this go. What I like here is that she doesn't say I couldn't let it go. We. So her, the dad,
and then there's other parents of people on the street.
Now, my theory is that the other parents are Rod's parents, Tina's parents, and Glenn's parents.
So what Craven had intentionally planned for this was anybody that was involved in it were being punished. Now, they referenced that in the second one.
Yeah,
so the second one's on Elm Street, but the houses are significantly different. Like there's pools and everything.
Yeah, but that's why I assumed that even before the second one, that this was the idea that the 4 kids that were kind of being targeted were the kids of the parents. And you can see the broken kind of homes sort of thing. Like Tina's dad left.
Yeah.
And then her mum, you could see her mum wasn't, a great parent.
She was away with a boyfriend or something.
Yeah, in Vegas, and we never hear back from her again.
Yeah,
her daughter dies. She never seems to come back. Rod's parents are both. We don't know much about them.
Well, they say when they're talking just after Tina dies, they're saying they're trying to get a hold of the ma.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. Like they're just. You can't get in contact with her ma. Rod's parents, who knows?
I think that's why you don't see her have a funeral scene.
Yeah, it is because the parent is never there, and then we even see with Nancy's mum. Nancy's mum's an alcoholic.
Yeah, the dad's a cop that was working all the time. They're gone. But the only ones that seem normal are
Glenn's parents.
Now, within saying that, in the 2010 one, when you see them setting them on fire,
yeah.
So you see Glenn's parents. Well, I don't know I can't remember the names are in the new one. I think they changed them by Nancy.
Yeah.
You see the parents of the 5 people that are involved in the movie. They're all there, and they make a point to show you them all in the build up to it.
But what I like is that the parents, other than Glenn's parents, seem to all have taken what happened very badly.
Yeah.
Family split. One of the mums became an alcoholic. Tina's mum didn't seem great. Her dad left, presumably because he couldn't deal with the guilt. Nancy's dad was, he's in the police force and stuff like that. You kind of see that
they obviously covered it up.
Yeah, and we see that her mum takes out the glove from the furnace, and she's like, "Yeah, we went in and we burnt him alive," which then explained why his face is the way it is,
Yeah.
And she's like, "So you don't need to worry about Fred Krueger." It kind of the next kind of really significant scene is that she rings Glenn, and she's like,
"I need your help.
I need your help," and he's like, "When's the last time you slept?" I haven't slept in 7 days. Well, like
you're dead.
You wouldn't be dead, but you're functioning way too well to have not slept for 7 days, like way too well.
I can't even function after 16 hours, let alone 7 days.
No matter how much tea or coffee or pep pills you've taken, you do not function that well. Like I've gone 3 days and genuinely I have no idea what I was doing.
Oh, you like they were only saying on the radio there the other day that like there's a scientific study that all the coffee in the world can keep you awake, but it doesn't mean you're going to function to the level that you need to be.
Oh no, like I think it was around a Christmas time or something, and I was a teenager, so I don't know, like I was playing games and stuff or whatever. I just didn't sleep.
Just forgot to sleep.
No, not that I forgot. It was the first day, just stayed up and played. Second day, I was just like, oh, I'll just stay up and keep playing. And the third day, I was like, oh, I wonder how long I can go for. I just the next like the following the fourth morning, like I didn't know what I was doing. Like I was just like wandering around. I was like, are you all right? Like, yeah.
Like your brain is there, but it's not working.
No, like I genuinely had no idea what was going on around me. But yeah, like whatever. She says she hasn't slept in 7 days, and she makes a deal with Glenn. Like, listen, I'm going to. You come over here. We're going to meet up at midnight, and I'm going to get this guy. I'm going to bring him out, and then you're going to clock him on the head with a baseball bat.
That you might have.
Well,
because you're a jock.
Yeah, you'll find something. And Glenn is like, yeah, grand. And then, Glenn's mum comes in, and she's told Glenn, like, don't fall asleep. Just whatever you do, don't fall asleep. And then Glenn's mum comes in, and
this fucker can't stay awake, can he?
But I mean, he's got the headphones on, listening to music, and he's watching the telly. That's grand, right? The mum comes in, he's in bed, and he's fast asleep, and she comes in, wakes him up, and goes, go to bed. He's in bed and he's asleep. What are you waking up for? Just leave him there. He's fine.
I love this though. He's like, how can you listen to your records and watch TV? And he's like, Miss Nude America's on at 12 o'clock. She's like, well, how are you going to hear what she has to say? I don't need to hear.
I don't care what she has to say. But like, why did she wake him up to tell him to go to sleep?
Well, it might have been to just take the things off, or maybe she's afraid of him strangling himself or something. But
she makes the point of take all that off and go to bed. I think he was in bed. It's not like he was downstairs or something. He's in his bed asleep, and you've woken him up to tell him go to bed and go to sleep. Yeah. Very, very strange idea, but
he looks at the clock and it's 46 minutes past 11.
Yeah, so it's just quarter to 12, which is the time they've decided they're going to meet up. Now,
what I like here is when she looks out the window, his dad is standing down there gawking at that door.
Yeah, well, he's looking up at her window, and she's like, Glenn's dad says to the mum, like, there's something off with that girl. Yeah, I don't want Glenn hanging around with her anymore.
And it's like she hear her Marge's just being protective.
Yeah, well, she's had
two of her friends have just been killed in the last 2 days. Like, something's not going right.
Glenn seems way too normal to have walked into a room where someone that he was friends with was butchered, and he's seen somebody have something dragging him up to hang him from a police cell. Like, that wasn't him. Yeah, he's way too normal about this.
Yeah,
but Nancy tries to leave, and then the mum's like, I've locked you in.
Oh, she's hammered.
She's like, I don't know where the key is, and I've locked the door and all this, so you can't get out. So Nancy runs upstairs. She's like, right, I ring Glenn and tell him I can't get out. So he needs to, we need to work something else out. Glenn is asleep again.
But I don't know. You don't. Well, we know he is, but you don't know at this stage that he's asleep because his parents answer the phone.
No, well, you see the phone ring in his room, and you see him asleep. Then it goes downstairs, and her mum answers, and she's like, "It's Nancy," and she says, "It's very important. Go wake Glenn. Very, 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 very private and very, very important." Yeah. And the dad takes the phone and he goes, "You can talk to me in the morning." Hangs up. You need to be firm with them kids.
Yeah. I like what he does here, though, is that he takes the phone and puts it off the hook. Yeah.
Well, what I like is that he hangs it up, then thinks and goes, she's going to ring again, and just takes it off. So we see her try to ring again, and it's just not happening. She's getting the dial tone of, the number is busy.
Yeah.
So she's going to try escape again, and she goes to look out the door, and her mum is sneaking a bottle out of the hot press.
Yeah, he's
already hammered. What I like is she opens the door fully, sees her, and then closes it most of the way, and is looking out at.
Yeah, that's when she notices.
Was I caught? And then the phone rings. The phone rings, and she picks it up.
Yeah, it's just the
and
nails.
Here's the nail, so she rips the phone out of the wall.
I love her reaction here.
Oh no! What if Glenn tries to ring me?
Yeah. But then the phone rings again.
She wraps it up, and she's about to leave again, and the phone rings. She picks it up, and it's Freddie, and he's like, "I'm your boyfriend now."
Yeah.
A bit creepy, mate. But as you said, we learn in the newer film why he's extraordinarily creepy.
Yeah. But he was in this one. I'm pretty sure he's supposed to be a pedophile.
Yeah, but they don't mention it. They don't reference that point.
They just say he was a child killer.
Yeah. But
it's left to your imagination now.
She panics and she goes, right, I need to get out of here. So she runs down the stairs and she's trying to get out. She can't, nothing. And then we cut back to Glenn's room and we see him.
This is it. This
fall into the bed.
No, he doesn't. He gets pulled in.
Yeah, into this hole. But you see the arm come up and then there's a hole in his bed that he gets dragged down into.
This is I think if you asked 100 people out of 100 to name a kill from a horror movie.
Yeah, well, you see this big gush of blood shoot out of the
you
bed.
see him get sucked in and you think, oh, you poor bastard.
Yeah, that's him dead, and then this massive fountain of blood splattering everywhere. And
so what have you got?
Mum opens the door.
7 pints of blood or something, 14 pints of blood in your body.
Well,
there was about 400 litres. This is another scene where, the same as Tina, they turn the camera upside down to give the illusion.
But I like that the mum walks in and she gets covered, and then obviously all the police show up. And she's screaming at the door to her dad. She's like, I've got a plan.
she rings him.
Yeah, she rings him. She's like, listen, she rings their house.
Yeah. And she's like, he's dead, isn't he?
He's like, the dad's like, I don't know, I haven't been up there. She's like, well, you know he is. And then she tells her dad, like, listen, you get over here for 12:30. I'm going to get the guy who's done it. And the dad's like, yeah, great. You do that. And you get some sleep. Good.
This is another stupid bit because she turns around and says, be here for 12:30, right? That gives me 20 minutes. So you've now established that it's 12:10.
Yeah.
Right? In this time, she has time to go find the sledgehammer and tie it above the door, put a bullet into a light.
Yeah.
Set a tripwire.
Yeah, a lot of stuff is done in this. And she goes into her mum to tell her mum, you know, I'm sorry and everything, and you just go to bed. Like, tucks her mum into bed and everything.
Yeah.
She gets a lot of things done in 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But her dad is just like, yeah, of course, yeah, I'll be there. I'll get into the house. Now, how he's going to get into the house, you know, is never established. But he's just like, yeah, I'll get in. And then he tells one of the other guards, like, you just keep an eye on my house, and if anything weird happens.
This guy's a fucking dickhead. If anything weird happens, right? So she goes into her dream. Freddy comes along. She's running out of time.
She sets her watch to 10 minutes and she sets the alarm to 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And she gets into her dream and she her plan is she's going to grab a hold of Freddy, and then when she wakes up, if she's still holding him, he'll be in the real world, because that's what happened with the hat.
Yeah. So
she goes that way. Yeah, she goes hunting for Freddy and eventually finds him, and just at the last second grabs him.
She's calling him out.
Yeah, and at the last second she grabs him.
I love this. She just dives for him.
Yeah, and then she wakes up and she's like,
he's not there, but
maybe I am crazy. Yeah, but she's like, maybe I am crazy because he's not here.
Yeah,
and well, then he is there.
It was a bit weird, like, because she wakes up and she knows to take waking up with the thing and she takes it out.
Yeah.
But what I like here is when you see him in that scene, and when he comes out, he doesn't have his hat.
Yeah.
So like,
she stole it.
No, they stick to that. Normally,
she stole it.
But like, she wakes up and she's like, maybe I am crazy, but yet there's a rose trellis stuck to you, even though you were lying in a rose trellis. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but then Freddy jumps back up.
Yeah.
And the chase ensues, and she runs out the door. She's put a latch on her door from the outside, so she
hits him with the coffee pot first, doesn't she?
She hits him with the coffee pot, then she runs out, puts the latch on the door, and then
that's the other thing she does. She tried to attach a lock to her door.
Yeah, and then she gets the wire, the tripwire, wraps it to the handle so that when Freddy opens the door and steps out, the sledgehammer will come down and hit him. Then she's run down the stairs and she's tried to, she's banging on the door and on the window saying, "Hey, come over here." And your man's just looked at it and he's like, "Eh."
You think he would have done it the first time when she breaks the window?
Yeah. Oh, anything weird happens over there, he's just like, "Yeah, that's not that weird. She smashed the window. That's fine."
Yeah.
And then
Freddy falls down the stairs.
Yeah, he falls down the stairs. Then she gets, and a couple of times she says to this other police officer, like, "Here, get over here." But
I have the guy here, like.
Yeah, Freddy's chasing her around, and she turns on the light, which then explodes.
I love this though. She jumps over herself, she stands herself down, and like, she's like, "Which way am I gonna go?"
Yeah, but then she runs down into the basement again. Yeah. And this is the bit I like, that she runs down and she has like a gasoline. Little tub of gasoline.
So she comes down and goes around by the furnace and back out the other side.
Yeah, and he follows.
The path what I like here though is, like, you see him, because obviously he's taking a sledgehammer to chest and tumble down the stairs.
He's limping a bit.
He's walking, his arms in tight.
Yeah,
he's not 100%.
What I like though is that he follows where she went. Comes down, goes around, and then she runs out behind him, and she sprays him with the gasoline, and you can hear him panic. That's what I like. Like, you hear the panic. He knows what's happening, and he's been through this, so he panics. But she lights him on fire, and then she runs up the stairs and closes the door.
Yeah, and then smashes the door.
What I like is him, like, trying to run up the stairs. He rolls back down, and he's on fire and all that. And now there's smoke coming from the house, and your man's like, "I should get the sergeant." And you're like, "Yeah, no shit, man. The house is on fire. You should definitely go get him." Like,
should have done that about 10 minutes ago, pal.
But he gets him, and then they come running over, and they burst the door open, and she's like, I got him. He's down there. And they open it.
Yeah.
Now, and he's not down there.
Like, so what I imagine happens here is, right, when they come in the door, right, actually, because they go into the kitchen, they come back around.
they come back around and then they open it and she's like, he's down here. So they look down there. Nope. And then there's these fiery footsteps. Yeah, that's a great little addition, like fiery footsteps.
It goes back to that scene of when she's going up the stairs. Like you can see them printed.
Yeah. What I like is that she then recognizes, oh, he's going for mum.
Yeah.
So her and the dad run up the stairs, and they get to the mum's room, and they see him on top of her, and then her like disappear into the bed.
Well, no, what I like here is the dad puts them out with the sheet.
Yeah, and then
she's just like a half skeleton.
Rips the sheet off, and then she like
it
goes down into
the
thing.
underworld.
Yeah, and then the dad's like, right, that was weird, and I seen that, so I know that this is
he knew what was up.
Yeah, but now he knows for certain, like, you know, I think he kind of had an idea of who was doing it, but not that it was at this extent.
Yeah.
So he leaves with the other police officers, and the door in the mother's bedroom closes as Nancy has her back to the bed.
And
we
Frederick comes back.
Well, he comes. You see him like come back up, and it's similar to when he tried to come through the wall in Tina's house.
Yeah,
but this time he breaks through, and she's like, "I know you're there," and she takes the advice that Glenn gave her earlier of just ignoring the negative energy.
Yeah, what a random piece of information.
Yeah. Now, the one thing when I first watched this, I was like, this is such a cop out, because she goes, if I just ignore you and this isn't real. And I was like, this is such a cop out, like the whole thing is going to have been a dream. I was like, what a cop out, like what a way to end such a good film. And that's
you see it because he disappears. He's like, I take back every bit of energy.
Yeah, negative energy I gave you, and when I wake up, everything's going to be fine. My friend's going to be fine. And she leaves because he disappears. She leaves, and I was like, what a cop out. And we get to it's now
the next day or that morning.
The next morning, but then it's back to the original morning, which, as we know, is more than a week ago because she hasn't slept in 7 days.
So Rod is there, Tina's there, Glenn is there.
They're all in the car, and her mum has now said, I think I'm going to stop drinking.
Yeah, I like that though. They're like, it's a fresh morning. It's bad when you don't remember the night before.
Yeah, and she's like, I hit rock bottom. Yeah, she's like, I hit rock bottom and I'm going to stop.
So to me, that there is like when this scene happens, it's as if she's cleared everyone's conscience.
Yeah. But what I did see the first time I watched this, I was like, I can't believe they copped out of this. Like, I can't believe, and obviously now, like, there's going to be we know there was number 2, number 3, so like they didn't just cop out.
The first time I watched this, I missed the end of it.
Yeah, but then we see them get into the car, and again, this is where you see, the hood of the car goes, or the roof of the car goes back up.
Yeah, and
the top of it is the red and green. And then the car starts driving off itself. The windows go up and stuff.
They're all freaking out.
Yeah, and the car's driving off, and then the mum is just standing there smiling, waving, like, oh yeah, that's all normal to have the children screaming in the car about like, hey, something's going on here.
But then you hear the jump rope song again.
Yeah, and you see his hand. Well, you see the 3 kids playing jump rope.
Yeah,
in the
you can hear it. Yeah,
and then you see his hand come out the like the little window on the door.
Yeah,
and drag her back through, and that's
it's the worst bit of CGI or whatever it was.
It was probably good back then. It was probably good back then, to be fair.
Yeah. That's probably the worst bit of the CGI in this film.
What I like here is that they gave you the idea of that was all just a dream. So
yeah, this was a big fuck you by Wes Craven being like, I almost got you to believe that it wasn't gonna be real.
Yeah, but then that means if he's there, it means that this whole thing is still a dream. So she's still in that dream.
Yeah.
So she's dreamed that she's gotten rid of him, and then the dream like restarts.
No, there's a belief still.
Oh yeah, I know, but like it means that it means somebody's still asleep because he's now pulled the mother through the door, so somebody's asleep.
Yeah, her. She thinks it's over, so she goes to bed.
Yeah, but then she's woken. My point is that she's woken up now and she's ready to go off to school, right? She's still asleep, but haven't woke up in the dream to be. No, because the whole film up until the point of Freddy disappearing, she's meant to have been. That's all meant to have been a dream, right? And then she's meant to have woken up the next day, and it was all a dream. But it means that it's still the same dream. It's still one long dream. Like even this scene at the end is still the same dream as the whole other bit because she's never woken up.
Yeah. Or is it Wes Craven going, this is how we prolong this?
No, but it does prolong it, because even if it means she's never, even if it means from the very start, like Tina's first dream that we see at the start
is the main thing, and she's the main character.
No one's ever woken up from that.
Yeah.
Like, this whole film has now been a dream. Even the end of it is still a dream. I think it's a really smart thing, and I was so annoyed the first time I watched it when I was like, I can't believe they're going to cop out with it was all a dream, and then he doubled back on that.
It was in fact the easiest cop out, easiest finish.
Oh yeah, but then he doubled back on it, which I really liked. That's my point. Like, it's just so good.
I noticed that in a few films that he's done. It's
kind of his signature, yeah.
He leaves it to you, and then he goes, "No, do you know what? I'm just going to take that back."
Yeah, but it then left him, available to go. Well,
yeah. Well,
if this does well, we have number 2, which is something old films used to do.
He wanted nothing to do with number 2.
I know, yeah, but it left him open to have something to do.
And do you know what? You can tell. Well, I don't know whether you've seen number 2 or not.
I have, yeah.
You can tell that his fingerprints aren't in that.
Yeah.
And but this is something. It's voted the gayest movie of all time.
But this is something that old films used to do. Like,
it set it up. If it makes money.
But like, even Big Trouble in Little China, they left themselves open for a second one.
Yeah, I'm 100% glad that John Carpenter did not.
Yeah, but I mean, it's what a lot of old films like that used to do. They left themselves open.
Oh yeah, they gave you the option. They gave you the option. If it made money,
and if this never made money, they could have just, like, you can just stop there. You don't ever have to do anything else after that.
Well,
but you've left yourself the option to do it, which is, it's very smart in terms of a business.
Oh yeah, well, like him and New Line, Wes Craven and New Line were, like, they'd done movies. And then he knows if you put Wes Craven's name to it, or you put John Carpenter's name to it, places like that, movie production studios knew what they were getting.
Yeah. But yeah, I can see, like, having rewatched this, like, you can still understand why it's your favorite horror film, and like why this is like the birth of slasher films. Like, it's just so good.
It wasn't even the birth of slasher films. So at this stage, you had Michael and you had Jason. Fucking slow, stocky, heavy-bodied.
Yeah.
Horror trope, run, fall. This changed the game.
See, I always think of those ones like Jason and stuff. Like, I always think of them as more stalkery than slasher. I know that they do slash, but like it's slow, it's methodical.
Well, this will be stalking as well, because he winds you up.
Yeah, but it's very quick. Like, he's very quick to slash at you, where they're very much just. I'll just plod along after you.
Well, see, no, that's what I mean. Like this, I know what you're trying to say, but technically, as they are slashers, like this changed the.
It changed what you could do in the genre, like
like this, he is instantly became the most creative. Like, Jason has all them funny kills where he puts someone in a sleeping bag, whacks them off a tree, and things like that. But the creativeness in this movie was something that had not been seen before.
Yeah, the idea of, dreams.
The idea of this came from apparently 4 or 5, I think there were teenage Asian lads that were going around telling people that something in their dream was going to kill them. And Wes Craven had read it in the newspaper. And it turned out one of them lads actually died in his sleep.
Oh.
Now, there's parts of that, and then there's parts of another killer that was, when Wes Craven was younger, that was going around killing kids.
Yeah.
And I think he just kind of muddled everything together and got what he got. It's
a very smart concept, whatever way he came about it. And I still think it holds up today. Obviously, there's some graphic wise it doesn't in certain places, but I still think this holds up really, really well as a horror. Like,
as we said, it was made off a 1.1 million budget, which in 1985 was probably huge.
Yeah, big money.
It took them 3 days to make that money back.
Yeah, very quick.
And then the biggest one that I found when I was looking stuff up in this, and I knew he wasn't originally cast as Freddy Krueger, Robert Englund wasn't. But when I found out who was, I was a bit surprised. So they cast David Warner, who was one of the doctors in Avatar, and he was Gus in Scream 2.
Yeah.
So like, if you Google his name, you'll see pictures of him in the Freddy gear. But looking at it now,
I'm glad they
didn't. He might have done a good job.
Yeah, but I'm glad they didn't. To be honest, I think this.
But,
I think
like to go on and make 8 movies, 7 movies, a TV show, video games, music videos, had to show how good he was. Oh well, 8. He made Freddy vs. Jason as well.
Yeah. He was brilliant.
It was something different. Like he went on to do other horror movies as well. He was in Wishmaster. He was in I think pretty House of a Thousand Corpses. He was in loads of stuff.
I think his commitment to Freddy is insane. Like you don't.
But apparently it took 6 hours or 6 to 8 hours to put that on, and he might only be filming for 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah, well, I suppose I can see why. Like it's because it's the whole face has to be done, and
then the body for some scenes. Not in this one now, but
not in this one, yeah. But like later on, yeah.
But what I found, there's a funny picture of him wearing a headset like yours, and he has a Walkman in his hand, and he's having a smoke, and Heather Langenkamp and Johnny Depp are standing beside him, and you're like,
I think I've seen that.
You can just tell that he was a top quality guy on set, like Johnny Depp has referenced him in a few things, saying that he was a big help. Like when Johnny Depp was struggling after this, that he came forward and helped him out with things, and like he's just a legend all around. But like, I don't think in any film, in a horror text, that the killer should steal the show.
You don't think this?
They shouldn't. They shouldn't. Like he was the best thing about this movie.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah. I think it is important that the killer is.
It's good. They have to be
big.
Good.
Like, they have to be a big part of it. Like,
but technically the final girl or one of the side characters as well should be helping, but he got no real help.
No, yeah, as we said,
John Saxon was very good in this as the cop, but it's a simple part to play.
It's minimal as well. Like Nancy is the main character sort of thing,
but
and he
brought this forward. Yeah, he brought this. Like for him to sign on, he signed on for 5 films after this.
Yeah, rightly so as well. Well, rightly so for him. No, the films.
He deserved
him as a character. Yeah.
Well, I don't know. I like 2. I just write off. Like if I'm watching this collection, I won't watch 2.
I know what you mean, but like I don't even in 2. I don't think he is bad.
No, he's very.
That's
very
what I mean.
good.
Like he deserves it the whole way through. But
yeah, like that's what I like. I know they tried to recast him.
I'm glad they never did. Yeah.
And there was murder about it. New Line were like, we're gonna go in this direction, and the director was like, if he's not doing it, I'm not doing it. Simple as that.
I'm glad he did that, because had they replaced him, I don't think it would have gone.
The franchise was gone.
I think it would have died at number 2. Yeah.
But like going into the franchise, like when you find more of his backstory and things, it's brilliant.
Yeah. But we'll definitely get around to. We might not do number 2, but we'll definitely get around to doing more of these
3 and 4
nightmare films anyway, because they are just so good. But that's it for this week. Good luck.